Hello everyone, my name is Nawalage. This video gives an overview of how total luminescence spectroscopy can be used for the quantification of temperature effects on photophysical properties of photoluminescent materials. Photoluminescent materials can emit light in the presence of an external source of excitation. The energy promotes one or more electrons from the ground state to higher energy levels. As the electron comes back to its ground state, the energy is either emitted via radiative or non-radiative processes. Photoluminescent materials have been used in many applications such as photovoltaics, photoluminescent displays, fluorescence thermometry, medical imaging, and many more. To be used in such applications, it is important to pay attention to the thermal stability and thermal sensitivity of the photoluminescent materials. Many previous studies support the hypothesis that when the temperature is increased, the fluorescence intensity decreases. This decrease is attributed to factors such as dynamic quenching, intersystem crossing, and internal conversion. However, understanding the key mechanisms responsible for temperature effects on specific fluorophores is challenging. Moreover, there are limitations in the existing measurement strategies and data analysis methods as well. Most studies just look at the emission spectra obtained at 1 or 2 excitation wavelengths, or tend to look at the temperature effects on fluorescence intensities obtained at 1 or 2 emission wavelengths. It's difficult to get a large picture of the influence that temperature has using such methods. We need a technique that allows us to investigate the generality of wavelength dependence by using a technique that spans a range of wavelengths. Secondly, the temperature-induced emission intensity has been attributed to the variation in just the fluorescence quantum yield, and the temperature effects on the sample light absorbed are not considered. The quantum yield is the efficiency at which absorbed light is converted to emitted light, and is defined by the ratio of the number of photons emitted to the number of photons absorbed. As can be seen from the equation, just considering the quantum yield ratio can lead to questionable conclusions because the emission intensity is a function of both fluorescence quantum yield and light absorption in a rather complex manner. This was discussed in one of our recent publications. Many studies have focused on the temperature effects on Stokes shifted fluorescence, but only a few studies have looked at how temperature affects the anti-Stokes shifted fluorescence. There is no side-by-side comparison of the temperature effects on the Stokes shifted fluorescence and anti-Stokes shifted fluorescence on the same fluorophores. Next, studies have only looked at fluorophores in either a solid or liquid matrix. Once again, a side-by-side comparison of temperature effects on fluorophores dispersed in either a solid or liquid matrix is minimal. Such a study would give an insight on the influence of the sample matrix on temperature effects. The technique of total photoluminescence, commonly termed excitation-emission matrices, is a spectroscopic method for the experimental quantification of the temperature effects on fluorophore photophysical properties. Our work using this technique was published in ACS Measurement Science last year. Total photoluminescence is a three-dimensional spectroscopic technique that acquires a photoluminescence spectrum at each excitation wavelength across the entire sample absorption wavelength region. Total photoluminescence data allow the visualization and quantification of emission intensity changes as a function of the sample temperature, excitation wavelength, and emission wavelengths. A complete total photoluminescence dataset is composed of the emission intensity as a function of every combination of excitation and emission wavelengths. including the regions where the emission wavelength is lower than, equal to, or longer than the excitation wavelengths. As such, the total photoluminescence enables simultaneous acquisition of the sample anti-Stokes shifted fluorescence, Stokes shifted fluorescence, and on-resonance fluorescence. On-resonance fluorescence can be observed when the emission wavelength is identical to the excitation wavelength. The fluorophores are simultaneously anti-Stokes shifted, on-resonance fluorescent, and Stokes shifted fluorescence active when they are excited at the wavelength region where the fluorophore emission and excitation spectra overlap. This region is shaded in blue. The red and black spectra show the anti-Stokes shifted and Stokes shifted fluorescence spectra respectively. Our group used 6 model fluorophores to study the wavelength dependence of temperature effects on fluorophore optical properties. They include 3 polyaromatic hydrocarbons, anthracene, tetracene, and dibromoanthracene, and 3 xanthine fluorophores, fluorescein, eosine Y, and erythrocene B. This relatively large-scale study allows us to investigate the generality of wavelength dependence on the temperature effects of fluorophore optical properties, the possible difference in the temperature effects on fluorophore anti-Stokes shifted and Stokes shifted fluorescence, and the significance of heavy atom effects in governing the temperature effects of fluorophore fluorescence. It is important to consider the temperature effects on the fluorophore light absorption because fluorescence intensity is a function of both the fluorophore light absorption and quantum yield. In the equation shown, I represents the excitation power, R is the detector responsivity, and Q is the fluorescence quantum yield. The term in parentheses indicates that I is dependent on the excitation wavelength, R is dependent on the emission wavelength and temperature, and so on. ASSF and AMF are the UV-vis absorbances of the photoluminescent molecules at their excitation and emission wavelengths respectively. For small molecular fluorophores dissolved in solution, the UV-vis spectra can be approximated as their absorbance spectra. Dx and dm are the effective excitation and detection path lengths and can be quantified using a solvent-Raman method as discussed in a previous video. The exponent term in the equation depicts the sample inner filter effect imposed by sample absorption at excitation and emission wavelengths. This equation is used to determine the inner filter effect corrected fluorophore fluorescence, which can then be used to subsequently determine the temperature effects on the wavelength specific fluorescence quantum yield and temperature effects on the integrated fluorescence quantum yield, as shown in equations 3 and 4. Spectral integration is done by a simple summation of the emission or excitation intensities over the entire excitation or emission wavelength range. Spectral normalization, on the other hand, is performed by dividing the integrated fluorescence emission intensity obtained at the temperature of interest by that obtained at 20 degrees Celsius. The 3D plots of the total photoluminescence data showed that the temperature effects on polyaromatic hydrocarbon fluorescence depended critically on its structure. The temperature effects on the Stokes shifted fluorescence and anti-Stokes shifted fluorescent signals for each of the 3 polyaromatic hydrocarbons all differed significantly. It is believed that raising temperature have 2 effects on anti-Stokes shifted fluorescence. On one hand, they enhance the population of hot molecules according to the Boltzmann distribution law, which is beneficial for increasing the anti-Stokes shifted fluorescent intensity. On the other hand, increase in the temperature can change the relative rates between the radiative and non-radiative decays of the excited molecules, which can lead to enhanced or reduced anti-Stokes shifted fluorescence intensities. Total photoluminescence provided a convenient way to examine the possible wavelength dependence of the temperature effects on fluorescence. A side-by-side comparison of the fluorescence excitation spectra monitored with two different emission wavelengths and the fluorescence emission spectra excited with two different excitation wavelengths showed that the temperature effects on the polyaromatic hydrocarbon fluorescence depended on both the excitation and emission wavelengths. A heat plot is also an efficient and concise way for visualizing the global excitation and emission wavelength dependence of the temperature effects on fluorophores. Depending on specific excitation and emission wavelengths, both normal or reverse temperature effects can be observed. Normal temperature effects refer to a fluorescence intensity decrease with increasing sample temperature, while reverse temperature effects represent increased fluorescence intensity with increasing temperature. Temperature effects on the xanthine fluorophores, however, are contradictory to what one would expect from the heavy atom effect. Fluorescein has no heavy atoms, but has the largest decrease with increasing sample temperature, while the peak intensity of eosine bi has no significant temperature dependence. Erythrocene, the xanthine dye with iodine substitution, exhibits reversed temperature effects at its peak emission. These data argue strongly against the possibility of the heavy atom effect being a dominant and universal mechanism to explain temperature effects on fluorophore fluorescence. Now, let's look at the effect of changing the sample matrix. When the temperature dependence of the fluorescence intensity of polyaromatic hydrocarbons dispersed in toluene solution to the same polyaromatic hydrocarbons dispersed in a solidified polystyrene matrix was compared, the degree of the temperature dependence of the fluorophores in liquid was found to be very similar to those in a solid, suggesting that it's unlikely that dynamic quenching by solvent fluorophore interactions are the main contributor to the polyaromatic hydrocarbon signal reduction at elevated temperatures. Otherwise, one would expect smaller temperature effects on the polyaromatic hydrocarbons dispersed in a solid than those dissolved in liquid. Lastly, the ratiometric fluorescence thermometry, which is discussed in detail in our publication, could lay the foundation for future development of nanoscale temperature sensors by fabricating fluorescence nanoparticles with temperature-sensitive and temperature-insensitive dyes. In conclusion, we believe that the total photoluminescence method discussed will be adopted broadly by physical, analytical, and material chemists for characterization purposes. Thank you for your interest and attention.